The day I realized the most honest man I knew had been lying was the same day I found his body. Except it wasn't a lie. That's the part that still messes with me, because Evan Cole never lied, not once, not even the small harmless ones people use to make life easier. If you asked him something, you got the truth, even when it made things uncomfortable. So when the police said it was suicide, I didn't believe them, and neither did anyone who really knew him. They found him behind the old Monroe gas station at 5:42 a.m. on a Tuesday. No witnesses, no camera footage, just a note in his pocket and a story that didn't hold together if you knew Evan at all. I still remember the detective's words. Straightforward case, no signs of struggle. I almost laughed in his face, because Evan Cole didn't do straightforward. I met Evan in high school. Back then people called him weird, not in a cruel way, just observant. He corrected teachers. He interrupted stories when they weren't accurate. If someone said something false in passing, he couldn't let it sit. Most kids grow out of that. Evan didn't. By the time we were 28, he had a reputation in our town. If Evan said it happened, it happened. If Evan denied it, you could take it to the bank. People stopped asking him to just go along with things. He physically couldn't. That's why his death didn't make sense. Because Evan wasn't just honest. He was careful, precise, almost obsessive about truth. He wouldn't even fake politeness. So why would he suddenly decide to kill himself and leave behind a note that read like a confession? That's what pulled me in. The note was short, 3 lines. I saw what happened at the River Road. I can't change what I said anymore. I'm sorry. The police called it a suicide note, but I knew Evan's writing. I'd seen his journals, his reports, even grocery lists. That wasn't his voice, not fully. Something about it felt adjusted, like someone had tried to translate him into something simpler. And Evan was never simple. I went back to his apartment that same night. The door wasn't sealed properly yet, cheap lock. Small town procedure. I shouldn't have been able to get in that easily, but I did. Everything was still there, too normal. Shoes by the door, mug in the sink, laptop open on the table like he'd just stepped away. But Evan didn't step away from things. He finished them. That's when I noticed the folder on his desktop. River Road. My stomach dropped, because I had heard that name before. 3 days earlier, there had been a hit and run out near River Road. A volunteer reporter named Daniel Price had been found dead near his car. Official cause, accident. But Evan had been there that night. He told me himself. I saw something, he said over coffee 2 nights before he died. Something that doesn't match the report. I asked him what he meant. He just shook his head. I need to verify it first. That was Evan speak, for I already know the truth. I just need proof so no one can twist it. Inside the folder were photos. Blurry night shots, a dark SUV, a license plate partially obscured, a man standing near the riverbank, and a timestamp. The night Daniel Price died. Evan had been there. There was also an audio file. I hesitated before opening it. When I did, Evan's voice filled the room. Calm, controlled, too controlled. I was at River Road at 11:18 p.m. I saw Councilman Griggs's vehicle near the scene. I saw Sheriff Harlan speaking with him afterward. I am stating this as fact. A pause. Then Evan again. They saw me. That was it. The file ended. My hands were shaking, because Evan didn't say things like, they saw me, unless something was already wrong. He didn't assume. He knew. The next morning, I went to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Harlan had been in charge of our town for 12 years. The kind of man people described as solid, reliable, familiar. He shook my hand like nothing had happened. Evan was a good kid, he said. It's a tragedy. I watched his face carefully. Evan used to say you could tell everything about a person by how they reacted to truth they couldn't control. Harlan wasn't reacting. He was performing. I asked him about River Road. His smile didn't change. Just an accident investigation, nothing unusual. I nodded. Then I said, Evan saw you there. The temperature in the room dropped, just slightly, but I felt it. Harlan leaned back. Evan saw a lot of things, not all of them accurate. That was the first crack, because Evan was never inaccurate. Not once. By that evening, I found myself going through Evan's emails. Most were normal. work, local complaints, requests for verification, but one stood out, a message sent 2 days before his death. To Sheriff Harlan, subject line, correction of statement. Body, I will not change my account of what I saw at River Road. I understand your request. I cannot comply. No reply attached, just a red receipt. That's when it started making sense in the worst possible way. Evan hadn't died because he was unstable. He had died because he wouldn't lie. I went back to the apartment again that night. This time, I noticed something I missed before. The laptop wasn't just open. It had been accessed after his death. Recent file activity. Someone had logged in. Someone had been looking for something. And then I found it. A second audio file, hidden in a system folder. This one was different. Static at the beginning, breathing. Then Evan's voice, lower this time, less controlled. If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident. A pause. I didn't tell them everything. Then silence. That phrase stuck with me. Not because it sounded like a lie, because Evan didn't lie, but he did omit. He once told me truth wasn't just about what you say. It was about what you choose not to hide. So if he said he didn't tell them everything, it meant there was something worse underneath. I started digging into Daniel Price, the reporter who died at River Road. He had been investigating town contracts, land purchases, public funds redirected into private development, and one name kept appearing, Councilman Griggs, and another, Sheriff Harlan. Then I found something that made my stomach turn. Daniel Price wasn't just killed. He had been recording audio that night. A partial file was leaked online through an anonymous account. In it, you could hear an argument, Griggs shouting, Harlan telling someone to handle it. Then a crash. Then silence. Evan hadn't just witnessed the aftermath, he had witnessed the entire thing, and worse, he had told the truth about it. Which meant he became a liability, not to the crime, to the cover-up. I finally understood the suicide note. I can't change what I said anymore. He didn't mean he was sorry. He meant he had reached a point where correction was impossible, because the system had already decided what the truth was supposed to be, and Evan refused to rewrite reality to match it. The breaking point came when I found the hospital report. Evan hadn't died instantly. He had been found alive, barely, for 12 minutes, and during that time, someone spoke to him. Sheriff Harlan was listed as the responding officer, but the nurse's report had a handwritten addendum. Patient attempted to speak. Sheriff advised him to rest and not say anything further. Evan's final recorded words were incomplete, but the nurse remembered one phrase. He said, "I won't change it." That was when I realized what had actually happened. Evan didn't kill himself. He was silenced, because even dying, he would still tell the truth. I set up a recorder in my car before I went to Harlan's house. I didn't plan to confront him. Not directly, I just needed him to talk. People like him always talk. They just need the right pressure. I found him on his porch that night, calm, drinking coffee, like nothing in the world was burning down around him. I asked him about Evan one last time. Did he suffer? Harlan sighed. He made his choice. That sentence confirmed everything, because it wasn't an answer. It was a script. I pressed him harder. Was Evan lying about River Road? A long pause, then Harlan said something I'll never forget. Evan was a problem, good kid, but problems don't always get to stay problems. That was the moment I stopped pretending this was confusion. It wasn't, it was control. I left, and immediately drove to the station archives. There, buried in evidence storage logs, I found what I needed. Evan's final recorded statement had been modified, not deleted, edited. A sentence removed from the official transcript. One line that changed everything. Original Evan statement. I saw Councilman Griggs strike Daniel Price. Sheriff Harlan arrived after the impact. That line wasn't in the official report anymore. And suddenly, the suicide note made sense. Someone had tried to overwrite him. But Evan wouldn't let them, so they removed the only thing they couldn't control, him. The recording I made that night was enough. Harlan's voice, the inconsistencies, the admission wrapped in careful language, and one final piece I almost missed. A second voice in the background of the porch conversation. Councilman Griggs. He had been there the entire time, listening, not speaking, just confirming. The investigation that followed wasn't clean. Nothing like this ever is. But the recording forced it open. First Harlan, then Griggs, then the files, then the truth they tried to bury under layers of accident and misunderstanding. Evan Cole never lied, not once. And in the end, that was the reason he had to die. Because in a town built on quiet agreements and rewritten stories, truth wasn't just dangerous, it was fatal. They say honesty is a virtue. Where I come from, it's something else entirely. It's a warning.